Hello, everyone. Jack here again for Forbidden Planet TV, and I'm thrilled to be joined by comics writer and artist extraordinaire Skottie Young, who's here to talk about his latest collaboration with Jorge Corona, and very excitingly, Skottie, your first ever DC project, Lobo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's brilliant to have you on. As I said, we're just mentioned, we're obviously here to talk about Lobo, which is part of DC's Next Level initiative. Whether it's for those of you that don't know, they're rebooting and sort of bringing back into continuity and giving some ongoing series to a lot of different characters that haven't had so for a while. And obviously, swinging from the fences with a new Lobo #1. I was wondering if you could let us know: is this something that you approached DC about? Were you like, I'm ready for the main man. I want to tell a story, or did you get the call and they're like, hey, we've got Lobo. Where do you want to take him? Or how did this sort of come to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Uh, it tracks back almost 2 years ago. I was in San Diego Comic-Con, and I was at the pool bar one day. I don't know, probably noon, as you do at Comic-Con, and Joshua Williamson rolled up to me and said, "Hey, we just had a big like kind of DC meeting, like all us creators, and Lobo came up, and I brought up Josh and I had been friends for years, and he was very familiar with how much I love that character. It's very known amongst my friends that Lobo has always been one of my favorite characters in comics, DC particular, but and he said, "I'll." When it came up, I brought your name up, and everybody got pretty excited. And then later, Scott Snyder came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you think maybe you'd want to like play around with this character or whatever?" And I was like, "Man, that'd be great." So that's where the conversation started. So they kind of it wasn't me. I mean, I've been at Marvel for almost 25, 26 years. This is my whole career I've been doing stuff with Marvel. So it definitely was exciting to know that my only DC character that I had ever wanted to actually do, uh, people were aware of it. So that's where the conversation started. At the time, right after that San Diego, people kind of approached me, and the timing of things was a little off. And like I said, this was nearly 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago. A few things were happening with me in personal life and professional life, so I had to pause and I thought kind of the I thought it went away, but DC, to their credit, kind of hung on to it for a while and reapproached me later, and the timing ended up being great. So yeah, so DC definitely approached me, knowing that it was something that was a very big passion project of me, or for me, and I think that's credit to Scott and Josh Williamson for knowing that about me.
That's amazing. Obviously, that they like had you in their sights for it as well. That must be quite an amazing feeling to be like, you're that's the for the main man. That's the main man. Like that's
It
the
was pretty rad. Yeah, it was pretty rad.
What's your first instinct when you sort of obviously you had a bit of time to like ruminate and think about it, but like were you like, yeah, don't worry about it. I've got this script from 20 years ago that's good to go, or what was your sort of first instinct when they were like, Lobo's yours? Let's have a.
It's one of those things. It's a little bit of both. It's like, fuck yeah, man, I'm fucking ready for this. And then you sit down at the keyboard and you're like, uh, oh shit. Like I'm really doing this, right? But honestly, before even that, when we started talking about the fact that I'm going to do it, it needed to come down to would Jorge Corona be coming along with me? If they were cool with that, then that's where my nerves just went down to even. That's my guy. We've done several image books together. He's like a brother to me. We kind of read each other's minds now.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like once Jorge was signed on, it became a lot easier for me to wrap my head around, like, let's just fucking go. Like, and I think once Jorge and I started discussing the project, it was about leaning back, like leaning on the history of Lobo. I think that I think that over time, everybody kind of grabs Lobo and then they try to insert him into whatever's happening at the time,
Mm.
or try to modernize him or try to make him fit within whatever. And we were like, guys, Lobo's one of those rare characters that kind of was perfected upon launch. Like
Yeah, it was done.
it was done. I mean, even the first time they approached me, I actually had to ask them because the Absolute line hadn't launched yet when they first approached me for Lobo. And I was like, is this regular Lobo or is this Absolute Lobo? And they were like, well, what do you want? I was like, I don't know. I think Lobo is already Absolute Lobo. I don't If you try to reinvent Lobo, you're undoing Lobo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, how do
so,
you push it further? Then
right.
it's already there.
Right.
Like
So in my mind, the concept of absolute Lobo is just go back to the beginning, which I think in some ways we have gotten away from with that character. I mean, that character was mostly created as a spoof or a parody or satire of Wolverine and Dark Knight Batman and a lot of like 90s level gritty anti-heroes. And he was created and written as a spoof of that in a lot of ways, and which is what I loved. So my version of an absolute Lobo is just do original Lobo. Like
yeah, go back to Keith Giffen, see what Alan Grant's saying.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like fucking just do a nod to Griffin,
yeah,
Bisley, and Grant, and
yeah,
that's it.
quite.
Like, just go back to the basics. And so when Jorge and I first talked, I was like, I think we should just go back to the basics and like and harness that original Lobo energy that Grant and Giffen and Bisley did at the beginning. And that's basically been our kind of like our true north.
Oh, well, it's great you mentioned Jorge. We can't not talk about Lobo without talking about Jorge and all your other projects because I think it's fair to say you've both gotten into like a really good rhythm
Oh yeah.
in the work you create. Like you've got some astounding books out there. Middle West, The Me You Love in the Dark, one of my personal favorites, and I'll sort of want
Thank
to touch
you.
on it a bit later as well. But all of those books and every project you've worked on together so far, and as well with like Jean-Francois and Nate, who are also on Lobo, I believe, doing the coloring and lettering. So it's a proper family affair, which is brilliant news. Um, they're all very unique, but unmistakably you guys. And as part of that process, obviously, when you get a character like Lobo, that's not an original thing, and as you said, it has such a brilliant legacy. Like, was there any challenges in your collaboration and like breaching into new territory, or is there ways that you kind of maybe challenged each other that the other comics you worked on hadn't done so as much, or in different ways?
Well, I mean, it's funny that you say that because Jorge, so for people who are familiar with all of my work, I mean, I've done a lot of comedy work, right? Like a
Mm.
lot of humor-based spoof, parody, satire work. I Hate Fairyland is very satirical and parody-driven. Rocket Raccoon, in a lot of ways, was very satirical and edgy in a lot of ways. And it's funny. So Jorge and I's books at Image have been all like very heavy and heart driven, and like we're gonna try to make you cry, scare you, and then also make you cry, and then
Yeah.
a lot of like heavy emotional. So when Jorge read my scripts for Lobo, he was like, I don't actually know. He's like, this is crazy. Like we don't actually we're not making people cry. Like he wasn't used to working with me in a way where I was used to working in this humor way, but Jorge and I, all of our books have been so heavily emotional. Uh,
Mm.
so in some ways, he was like, "Man, this is weird. This is," but it didn't matter. I know Jorge is like such a big anime fan and a manga fan, and his worship and love of action and visual storytelling is so amazing. So we knew that that would happen, but it was just that was the only thing. I mean, by the time Jorge and I had done any pages of Lobo, we had already made thousands of comic book pages together, but we had never done anything that was so like ruckus, like we're just like getting crazy with it. And man, it's been a blast. It's awesome.
The pages he's been sharing and like the panels on socials are just nuts. Like they're like super bombastic. Like the line work it's just like these great thick lines laying down on the page. It looks, that it's brilliant to hear that he was kind of like, well, oh, what do I do? And then just obviously done what he always does, and that's blow it out the
Oh,
water.
just absolutely melt brains.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah, just like
insane. He's a brain melter. That's for sure.
it brings me on to something I wanted to talk about with specifically, like as you said, the drama of a lot of your image work together. You're both very good at creating these quite haunting, very, very emotive pieces. The Me You Love in the Dark, I think about quite especially. It's a brilliant, for those of you who haven't read it, which is insane, go and read it right now. It's like this incredible piece about art and love and trying to, give a piece of yourself and what do we get back, and try and what we sacrifice for art and control and things like that. And then on the now here with Lobo, very much, he's quite a solitary figure, but it's on the very other end of that spectrum of work. How do you enjoy that contrast in your work? Do you, can we think in Lobo, are you going to try and maybe lean into some of that contemplative delicacy that you have with your other work with Jorge, or is this kind of like a balls to the wall, as you said, parody 90s, knock 'em down, Bastich kind of situation?
I think the thing that will elevate Lobo to the place that people don't believe that he will be is that once we establish the foundation of the tone, look, Jorge and I and the crew will do what we do, which is, even when I did Rocket, even when I Hate Fairyland is probably the most wacky book of all time, and I still find ways to make you catch feelings in that book. I think comedy and comedy and trauma go hand in hand. And I honestly think that most comedy is strongest when it originates from some sort of trauma. And so Jorge and I will, I think there is no doubt that we will be hitting some beats that will make you feel like, oh shit, I didn't know that I could catch feelings about Lobo. And that's part of our goal too. We want to harness the original feel of Lobo, but then when it's appropriate, make sure that we insert a depth and a pathos to that character that makes it worth you sticking around for the bombastic nature of who that character is.
Oh, that's really exciting because obviously that work is what people have come to expect from you, and I think like an amalgamation of that with that legacy is going to be off the clock, honestly. So it is for me personally, I know for a lot of people who watch this as well, it is great to know that pathos, as you said, is going to be layered into the book. The last Lobo book I can think of that's sort of new, other than obviously recent appearances in KO, is the Cancellation Special, which was great fun a few years ago, and they sort of touch on that solitude and that sort of loneliness that he might creep in, and then that's quickly dashed aside for a naked Lobo hurtling through space, which is obviously what we're here for. But it's
Sure.
that's really
At the heart of things, I would say that I am, some of my favorite storytellers in other mediums are, Edgar Wright and Judd Apatow, which I think are two absolute geniuses at mixing the comedic and the sad clown drama. Like I think dramedy is a great term in that I honestly think the funniest stuff is paired with things that come from heavy. Judd Apatow is a genius at this. And I think there's some Edgar Wright has nailed this as well, time after time, where you're like, you think you're watching a slapstick over the top, Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny cartoon, but really you're also watching like a character story about somebody trying to come to grips with growing up or losing someone or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff, and I think Lobo is ripe for that. And I think Lobo was created at a time where we were spoofing anti-heroes, and so it was kind of just that, which it needed to be that at the time. But I think now is a perfect time for that character to still maintain that level of excitement and that level of humor and that level of bombacity, but when you're ready for it, when we've laid the groundwork for it, we will creep in with some feeling. You know what I mean? Because I can't not, because I'm the fucking sad clown, Jack.
Yeah, no, you'll bang on as well. It is that Edgar Wright. Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite films. Like, we probably sit here and quote it to each other for
Yeah.
hours. Like it is. It is that. And
I think World's End is such a beautiful piece. I think it's a flawed piece, but I think it's a beautiful piece in that while it's about this wild sci-fi thing, it's really mainly about a character who won't let go of what he
mm,
once was. And while everybody else has moved on past him, and even the people who moved on past him are somewhat jealous that he's not moved on, like they miss where he is. And so it's that dichotomy of the emotionality of these groups where you're like, comedy lives in that drama, I believe.
yeah, yeah. There's an improv comedian that I love who was doing a character at the time, but very recently, part of the quote it was absurdism is the way to somebody's heart, and I think that's completely true.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and it's great to see that's going to be popping up in Lobo as well in
I
appropriate
hope I
moments.
succeed at it, by the way, Jack. I don't know that I've nailed it yet, so we'll see.
Let's presume you will, mate. Because if we're going off of everything else, we're probably on good form for it. Do you know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
appreciate you, brother. I appreciate it.
Um, Another big thing you talk about, we've spoken about movies quite briefly, but I know you're a massive fan of music. I know that's a bit of a weird thing to say because obviously you'd hope everyone loves music in some form or another. But in one of your videos recently, when you were talking about boredom, you mentioned you'd made a playlist for Boy at the End, and I was wondering what's on Lobo's playlist. What did you have cranking
Oh,
out
let me,
when you were
Jack, I'll
doing
pull
it?
it up, bro.
Let's pull it up.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know, like, what's bursting out the hog when he's going through space,
All right,
like.
let me see. Like, so Jorge and I, just to let everybody know, Jorge and I have done Middle West,
Mhm.
um, The Me You Love in the Dark, and Ain't No Grave.
Ain't no
Those are
grave.
our three projects together before Lobo. And for all three of those projects, we have created Spotify playlists that we will both listen to while making it, so we both know where our emotionality is. I am a very big emotionality person. Like, I think that it needs to be injected in the tone and the mood of what's being created. And that might make me super nerdy. I don't know. But like, I can't write a script and this goes with my art and my writing. I can't write a script if I don't hear the music that
Yeah.
might be playing while somebody's looking at this. So, like years ago, I wrote a Magneto miniseries and there was my first mini that was my first mini series I wrote that I didn't draw, right? And I was like, oh my God. And so I searched for music and I ended up listening the entire 5 issues of that. I listened to the Social Network soundtrack
Right.
because it was a very emotional series that I wrote, but it was the soundtrack was produced by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, which is very industrial and metallic. And so the entire time that I wrote this story about Magneto, I wanted to hear metal grinding. I wanted to hear emotional metal sounds. And that's my weirdo-ness, right? Like
That's sick.
um,
That's so cool.
so I'm definitely a weirdo like that. So my Lobo so I have two Lobo soundtracks. I have my Lobo playlist, which is like the playlist that Lobo would probably be
Yeah.
listening to while he's fucking shit up, right? And so on there we got Clutch, Space Grass, we got Corrosion and Conformity, uh, got a lot of Clutch on here. Pantera, I have some
Yeah.
Pantera, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken. Another Clutch song. I got Slipknot on my Clutch soundtrack. Rob Zombie, Monster Magnet, fucking Space Lord from Monster Magnet. I got The Sword, which is an amazing band. Down, which is actually a mixture between Corrosion and Conformity and Pantera. So it's Phil
Okay.
Anselmo from Pantera and Pepper Keenan from Corrosion and Conformity. This is showing my age and my music nerdness, Jack. So I'm sorry.
No, go for it. I'm more of a classic rock boy, so
Yeah,
I'm
and
very
I'm mostly a hip hop kid too, but I'm a big
yeah,
rock guy.
yeah,
But I got like Soundgarden on here. So that's mostly the Lobo. And then I also so that's what I think about what
him
Lobo is
listening.
listening to. But I also have a Lobo instrumental soundtrack that I need to listen to while I write because I can't write to lyrics.
Mm.
So on this, man, I've got some like Tom Morello guitar instrumentals from Rage Against the Machine, and just a bunch of different like heavy metal stuff there. But that's really so yeah, I we definitely like dive deep into the instrumental playlist stuff there for sure.
That's sick. Yeah, because Jorge's been like putting a lot of Beastie Boys and all the panels he's been showing as well. I was like, you can really feel the tones coming through with the music
Yeah,
choices.
it's just like Lobo, I think just comes down to like being a rebel. Like
Mm.
and whatever I think whatever makes you feel rebellious while you're working on it. And so like for me, if Jorge feels like, oh fucking Beastie Boys makes him feel that fucking little like edgy rebelliousness, I'm like fucking go for it, you know?
That's so cool. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that insight into the process because
Yeah, man.
I think you're right. A lot of your books, especially I think Middle West, sorry, Middle March, wrong book, Middle West.
Hey, my birthday's in March. We'll let you get away with it.
Super different. Yeah, yeah. Similar size thickness on my shelf, but super different. Like it is. It's got so much fantasy wonder in there as well. And panels in there remind me so much of like Howl's Moving Castle,
Oh
and
yeah, for
these,
sure.
yeah, and these incredible like tableaus of the storm. But you can really hear that sort of almost like guitar going through the
Oh,
journey.
man. Jack, I'll send you a link to the Middle West sound, the Middle West playlist. It's
Please.
that one is transcendent because so Middle West, for people who don't know that are listening to your show or watching your show, I don't, whatever. Middle West is so much a personal story to me. For
Mm.
me, I mean, it's so much of my actual life inserted into that. So, the music, the playlist for that is so powerful, and that one, I think that music playlist was probably more important than any of them because at that time, and I were just getting to know each other. I had met him. I had gone to talk at SCAD in Atlanta at Savannah College of our Atlanta campus. And Jorge and his now wife, Morgan Beam, who is also a brilliant illustrator and comic book artist, um, drove up with another friend of theirs to the Atlanta meeting to meet us and hung out with us at a bar. I was definitely way too intoxicated to be meeting fans.
Yeah.
Definitely embarrassed myself in front of Jorge, who is probably in his late fucking 20s at this point. But I had met him at that point, and then when we kind of reconnected and we're going to work on Middle West, he had sent over some designs for some of the characters that I had described to him, and they were, Jorge is Venezuelan, so a lot of his instincts there were very bright and very colorful and very big and woo, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this isn't. I was like, Midwest is very fucking humble and we're very downplayed. And what we did there was, I was like, okay, like, and I built a playlist and gave him like a sound that was very acoustic and Midwestern on the sadder side and a little melancholy. So the Middle West playlist is fucking amazing as well. I'll have to do a newsletter where I just post all these playlists because I think if everybody can go listen to the music while they read the book, they'll understand. Like, but to this day, like as soon as he agreed to come along with me on Lobo, I was like, okay, I'm starting a playlist. Let's go.
That
And
was
I
the first thing. That was the first thing when you got the call. You were like, right,
Yep,
Spotify's
100%
open.
instantly.
Instantly, like, that's how you broke the news. You were like, share link to the Spotify
Yeah,
collab.
let's get this fucking playlist going, bro. We got to get the music going.
That's so sweet. Yeah, no, definitely. I think it would be great to hear that. As I said, like it permeates through the work. Like you can hear it. So being able to put something to that as well would be brilliant. So that's brilliant. Thank you again for sharing that. That's so cool.
Yeah, of course, yeah, man.
Um, Moving on a little bit. We've spoken about Lobo being your favorite DC character. I think you mentioned in the tweet when you announced it was like your favorite from high school. So this is like a massive full circle moment. But it is your first project at DC. You've had an incredible career at Marvel, and you still do, obviously. But a bulk of your work you said was at Marvel, and then obviously more recently at Image. This is. I'm not fishing for spoilers. I don't want any insider info. Is there any other characters from DC's roster or like teams that you'd love to do like a little ongoing for, or a one shot, just sort of like dip your toe in. Not that the floodgates are now open for you to be like, yeah, I'm taking Batman and I'm doing 300 issues. Like, what kind of thing do you reckon would
Sure, yeah.
be a good
Yeah.
fun thing for you?
Uh yeah, I mean Batman, the here's the thing, the Batman Rogues Gallery, are you fucking kidding me? Like you just give me open choice of any Batman villain, I'll just crush the Batman. There's no better Rogues Gallery than the Batman Rogues Gallery, right? Like so a fun Joker story would be dope, like a fun Batman story in general. Like I don't know that I would ever be I and this isn't me being faux humble, like, oh shucks, I don't. I'm saying like I don't know that I am the right guy to do the ongoing Batman, but man, I could get in there and crush a fucking little like prestige, like little Batman story, a little like just a fucking Saturday, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like my whole thing in comics is I like the weird crevice stories. I like the like I hate Fairyland, for example. And this is like I'm going to say this, and I'm gonna, connected to this question. I hate Fairyland came from me working on Oz, the Wizard of Oz stories at Marvel. I worked on those for 5 years, and in that time, I asked myself a crevice story, and by crevice story I mean what's the stories that exist in the cracks of the big stories. And for me, Oz was like this weird situation where it was like, why would fucking Dorothy not be annoyed at everybody she meets? Like, if I was Dorothy Gale and in Oz, I would not be like, what a wonderful world. I'd be like, just, should I go right or left? Just fucking don't give me a riddle. Don't answer me in a riddle. Just say right or left. If you say a riddle, I'm gonna kill you. Right? Like, and that was my whole concept of I Hate Fairyland was like, what's the story in the crevice of Oz, right? And so for me, like a Batman, like what's the stories in the crevices of the major Batman stories? Like Batman might be in a big debacle, but I want to do the story that happens when he's like in that 5 minutes where he's eating fucking Chipotle and like what happens in that little crevice. Like what's so like I would love a Batman thing. I mean, obviously I think Superman is a fucking fantastic fun character. I'd love to go back and do like some old 30s style, like fucking Fleischer cartoon level Superman stories. Um, I was a really big Milestone fan. Like I was that age where when Static Shock and the Syndicate and Icon and all those Milestone characters came out. I was right there at the perfect age where I bought all those off the shelf every Wednesday. Like that was my fucking era. I would fucking write and draw a Static Shock mini and like that. Like I think that was so fucking rad. Like he's wearing a Malcolm X hat, like a fuck. I mean, I know he's changed now, but like my Static Shock is still the fucking, he's just
Yeah,
rocking fucking. He's wearing a Malcolm X hat and he's riding on a trash can lid. Like,
that's it. Yeah, yeah. Proper 90s manhole cover. Like,
yeah, that's my era. So like I could still rock any of that, but that's the fun thing to me is like to me the DC landscape because I've never touched it. Like it's super wide open for me, man.
it shows, but like you are a fan. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, you're coming in it as like, Christ, I get to do it now. This is cool
I'm
as
just a
hell.
nerd, bro. Like I'm just a
Yeah,
big
literally. Obviously, would love to see you do more DC projects as well. But we are over the moon that Lobo is going to be an ongoing, which is great as well. It's not, you don't have any confinements in that
nope.
space. It is
Yeah.
like, but it's going on. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Quickly on that, I mentioned earlier. Obviously, Lobo's been a bit of a part of DCKO recently. When you were being told like, "Cool, this is Lobo, it's yours, go have it," was there any sort of like, "This is kind of where he's at, see where it goes from here," or they were like, basically, see what happens, do what you like, kind of thing? Because I know they've mentioned KO a lot in the preview and on the way to the source wall and like the sort of journey and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
To DC's credit, and this is probably the thing that made me the most comfortable with saying yes to the job, is that they gave me nothing.
sweet.
Um, and that's what I wanted. When they came to me and said, "Hey, do you want this?" I was like, "I think I do, but I have some questions," right? And my number one thing was I've got to bring my people with me, right? Because like I've been at Marvel for so long, and then I've also been doing creator owned for so long. So I am used to a very large level of autonomy. Like I just do what I want to do. And I get and I'm very, very fortunate that that is my lot. Uh and it's very fun and it's effortless and that's what making comic books are to me. And so when they came to me, I was like, I don't need to take this job. I want to take this job. So to want to take this job, I got to make sure that it will be enjoyable because I just do not do things that are not fun, right? And so my two things were I've never worked at DC before, so I don't know the structure. So I need to at least come with my people. And but that's a thing that even happens at Marvel. Marvel knows if I am going to write a project, I pick the artist for it.
Mm.
I don't get paired with people. That's not how I work. I am an artist at heart, so I know that working with someone that understands how you work artistically and visually is beneficial for everyone. That was right away. They were instantly on with that. Whoever I wanted, so Jorge was on. Um, the number two question was, and this would be a 100% deal breaker for me. Like it was absolutely my biggest question. I knew that Lobo was going to be in the Supergirl movie. We hadn't seen anything of, we knew that Jason, right when they first told me, we knew that Jason Momoa got cast, but we knew nothing more past that. We hadn't seen a trailer. There was nothing. We just knew that there was rumblings. And so my biggest question was, if I come and do this, will I have to listen to the Hollywood side on what I do or what we do in the comics? um, because I understand that when companies have a big IP and it's getting ready to be in film, that they're protective of it, and rightfully so. I mean, it's getting ready to be an IP that's like wild. They're getting ready to sell the shit at Target on T-shirts
Yeah.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. I've been there before. Like I've been there with Deadpool. I've been there with Spider-Man. I've been there. I understand it. So I'm not faulting them for this. But I was like, if I'm going to come do Lobo in particular, who I think is the antithesis of taking direction from corporations and film and producers, I want to know like because I know that he's going to be in movies, but will we have to take our cues or take notes from people who outside of comic book writing and publishing? If so, I will have to pass. It would just not be a thing I want to do. And to DC's credit, they were like, absolutely not. Like you will be completely on your own to do this. Like uh and I people even Scott said I called Nick Dragata. Nick had been doing Absolute Batman now at the point that I talked to him about 6 months, and I called my buddy Nick who I've known for many years, and Scott, and they both assured me, they were like, dude, it's like doing creator owned books but at DC. And that made me feel very comfortable, and because these are two people who not they don't need to sell me anything. They know I don't need to be sold. Like they know I will say yes or no regardless. So I trust them, and so yeah, I just wanted to make sure, like, if I do this, am I gonna have to like not do this because Jason Momoa doesn't want to do it or James Gunn doesn't want to do it? And by the way, I can't fucking wait to see what James and James do with this. Like Jason and James, it's gonna be amazing. Like it's gonna be the best ever. I think James Gunn is one of my favorite movies. Like I think the Guardians of the Galaxy movie are amazing. So I don't want anybody to confuse what I'm saying. Like fuck Hollywood. That's not what I mean. It just means like if we're gonna come do Lobo, I think the spirit of what Lobo is is anti-listening to anyone telling the main man what the fuck to do, right? And I think the spirit of Lobo is making sure that if anything pops off in culture or comics or anything, that we can fucking poke fun at it, we can satirize it, we can parody it, we can spoof it, we can fuck with it, we can have some fun with it, right? And I think that's the spirit of Lobo. And if you guys let me do that version of Lobo, I'm fucking in. And to DC's credit, man, they have went above and beyond it because we did some stuff in the first couple issues that even we had a retailer meeting, and even Scott Snyder was like, yeah, I did not think that they were going to let you guys do some of that. And Marie was like, let's let them go. Like, so they've been really supportive, and it's been great.
That's so good to know that you guys got that autonomy to kind of to take it where you wanted to take it and push it, and do that homaging, as you said earlier, about bringing in the legacy,
Yeah.
and rightfully so, showing off that he is the main man and giving him his.
Listen, dude, I'm a Mad Magazine kid at heart. Look, like, so Mad Magazine is nothing but a skewer of society and a skewer of pop culture and a skewer of what we all love, right? I often say, like, the Marvel covers that I've done all these years, like, I make fun of the
Mm.
books that I'm doing a cover of. But and I try to explain to people, I'm like, yeah, we make fun of what we love most. Like, that's what I learned that from Mad Magazine as a little kid. When I first started collecting that when I was in elementary school, I was like, Mad Magazine skewers what it loves. Like, so it's like when something becomes so great that you can make fun of it, then you've made it. You know what I
It's the
mean?
sincerest form of flattery is to be like, I love
There you
this thing.
go.
I'm going to destroy it.
I'm
Like,
gonna fucking like, man, those pants are so fucking dumb. Cool.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
or like I will fucking skewer like a design or a Spider-Man thing because I'm like, how cool is that? I'm gonna make fun of it real quick.
All of these things are so exciting to hear. Like I said, it's going to be an ongoing run. So we're going to get so much of it. It's going to be a brilliant thing to have on the shelf. Just quickly, for new readers, as you said, with the Supergirl film, Lobo's about to hit kind of a new peak of popularity. He's in that. He's in the zeitgeist now. I've seen memes of him now, which freaks me out a little
I
bit.
know it's wild.
It's so weird. Like you said, he's going to be on t-shirts. That's really freaky to me. I don't think they ever would have imagined that back in the day. They were like,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to pick it up in the supermarket. What about this Lobo one is going to be the place to jump on for new readers, for veteran readers? And once we close that first page, like, how do you want us to feel? What are we going to take away from that issue one?
I think that this Lobo run is going to be a reintroduction to the original character that if you are familiar with Lobo, you're going to be reintroduced to that character you fell in love with. You're gonna go, fuck yes, he's fucking back. To me, and I hesitate to say some of this because I am not a fan of ever tearing something else down to build another thing up. So I'm not trying to take away from anything that anybody's done on this character over the years. But my love of Lobo is from those early years of Lobo Infanticide, of Last Asarian, of Lobo's Back, of those Giffen. That's my era. And if that's the era that you fell in love with, Jorge and I, and Nate and Jean and I are gonna reintroduce you to that Lobo, with all of the stuff that that group of creators taught us. And so everything all the ways that we've grown from them, see, they created that here and we fell in love with it. And then we mixed that with all the shit that we've read and absorbed since then. And now that we get to do that version, now we're going to insert all that extra stuff. And that's where I think that, like, where some of the first Lobo stuff was all just fucking Bugs Bunny and Wile E. Coyote, right? Like it was this 100% Wile E. Coyote. And we're going to give you fucking Wile E. Coyote, but we're going to be like, did we just make you cry with Wile E. Coyote? We're probably going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit of where we are, right? And that's the mixture of the two. Like, we're big emo fucking Gen Xers, right? Like, and we were Gen Xers reading some boomer fucking comics that were commenting on Gen Xers, but they didn't know we were Gen Xers yet. And so I love the stacking of this generational storytelling. And so yeah, I think that's where it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the perfect moment for your guys's Lobo one. So yeah, I can't wait for it to hit the shelf. It hits the shelf March 18th. New Comic Book Day, Wednesday, March 18th. Skottie, again, thank you so much for joining me and getting to chat Lobo. It's been really wonderful getting to meet you.
Yeah, you too, man. You're fucking awesome. Like,
I appreciate that, man.
I want more interview. Like, you're fucking a great interviewer, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I actually did want to show you something really quickly before I sign off.
All right.
Because you have been such a big part of my comics journey.
Okay.
You know, I've got into singles quite a bit after I started reading books. But I found something. I went through my archives 13 years ago, which
Okay.
goes to show how much of an impact you've had, not just on myself, but on this industry.
It made me fucking cry, Jack.
I gave my best shot at your Wolverine cover. Posted it on my Facebook 13
Oh,
years ago.
you fucker. You just made me feel so old. I love it.
No, that's not.
Oh, that's so great, dude.
Mate, yeah, I
Oh,
mean, like, your covers were the
Jack,
first.
that's a terrible drawing, but I love it.
Thanks, man. I
I'm fucking
appreciate
with you. I'm fucking with you. I know you were a little kid when you drew it.
it. Mate, no, honestly, like, you're such an inspiration.
Oh, that's
And
so great.
getting to, you know, growing up and finding out stories like The Me You Love in the Dark. You know, I'm a creative person myself. I'm very lucky that aside from this, I get to be creative. And when you read stories like that, they strike a nerve. And to have followed that throughout my whole comics life is just wonderful. And that's why stuff like Lobo is so good, because there's to a point you're like, hey, everybody, read these really cool, dark and dreary books that make me feel things. And now we can kind of be like, you know, those guys that make you feel things, they're going to punch you in the face and it's going to feel so good. So yeah, I'm well excited for Lobo. Skottie, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Jack, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Please pass my thank you along to the crew at Forbidden and the rest of the guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Skottie. Thank you everyone for watching. And as I said, make sure if you're not going to be able to get to a comic book shop on March 18th, pre-order a copy now. Pre-order all the covers. Always done a great cover A. You've got your own variants for it. There's
Yep.
Liba Mayo's done a great cover for it as well.
Oh, we have some dope ass covers, dude.
Sick
And
variants for this.
and again, DC has been awesome. Like anybody I throw at them that I suggest, like you guys should get her, you guys should get him. They're fucking pulling the trigger, bro. So it's
Sweet
great.
as, man. Mate,
Yeah.
Skottie, again, thanks so much. Thanks everyone for watching. And yeah, pre-order Lobo, which launches March 18th. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.